Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from FantasyFootballScout.co.uk. My name is David and today we're going to have a look at something a little bit different. Now earlier on in the international break we had a look at the team that is currently top of the world to see if we could learn anything from their team. Some really interesting lessons there. It's not just a simple case of somebody making lots of crazy decisions and using all their chips in one fell swoop. Some really interesting lessons that can be learned from that. So I thought with having looked at that, we'd also have a look at another person who is number one in the world in FPL, not for points, but for the value of their team. And so I was having a look at the FPL site in the last couple of days and noticed one team that currently has a team value of 105.3 million, which is just absolutely insane. My team value at the moment is about 102. I think I've got 101.9 in my actual team with 0.1 in the bank. I know that's probably similar to what you guys are looking at as well. So I wanted to understand how we ended up with a team that's worth 105.3 million. Now, there's always teams that are attempting to go for team value. As you can see on the screen right now from the top five, the fifth most valuable team in the world is actually called Moneymaker. So we know what your plan is, guys. It's very much geared towards that team value rather than points, but it certainly makes for entertaining viewing. So I thought we would have a look at them this week. So the team that is top of the world is currently run by a man named Pavel from Poland. And yeah, he's been doing a very good job of making sure that there's always a lot of money in his team. Now, this is his team as it was in Gameweek 8. Just a 32 points, unfortunately for him, with a -8, 3 transfers made. The team itself is actually not bad. It's not that far away from what you would describe as a current template team. It, of course, doesn't have Erling Haaland, but still lots of exciting players in here. So Areola, Trippier, Burn, Cash, Maddison, Ward-Prowse, Bowen, Son, Morris, Watkins and Alvarez, with a bench of Edison, Neto, Robertson and Udogie. And what you will of course notice is it is very much a team that is assembled around all of the players that are in demand in FPL, because of course there is going to be a lot of leaning towards those price changes. Now, how did Pavel get to 105.3 million this season? Well, what I thought I'd do is just go back over his team so far this season, have a look at some of the transfers he's made, and you'll start to get an idea for what the idea is. Now, the interesting thing is that his Game Week 1 team, again, doesn't look too dissimilar from what you would describe as a bit of a template team if you were someone who was gearing themselves towards differential. So there is no Erling Haaland, but he started the season with Onana, Estupiñán, Gabriel and Shaw, Eze, Matoma, Saka, Salah and Rashford. Rashford captained, actually, Game Week 1. Jackson, Visser up front. Turner, Watkins, Chilwell and Mings on the bench. Now, you'll be unsurprised to hear that there was a wild card played in Game Week 2, and there were a total of, I think, 10 changes made. And so then Game Week 2 team, Turner, Estupiñán, Saliba, Chilwell, Maddison, Saka, Salah, Diaz, Isak, Visser and Nketiah, with Sanchez, Reece James, Rodrigo and Ake. Now, this is where we start to see leaning more towards the players in demand rather than necessarily going for the players who it's worth having in your team. Although, still some success. 63 points here. A Game Week ranking, Game Week 2 of 506,000. And come from a Salah captaincy, which paid off in Game Week 2, of course. Got more points than Haaland famously in that game week. Moving into Game Week 3, what do we see here? Well, this is where it starts to get really entertaining. 6 transfers made for a -20. So 48 points in the end, of course, pulled down to 28. So Isak, Maddison, Dizazi, Turner, Salah and James came out. Jackson, Matoma, Akanji, Areola and Burmo and Dizazi came in. So there's some flip-flopping here. Sell a guy, bring him back in, bring him in, sell a guy. All about following those price changes. Game Week 4 it is the most crazy one of the whole season. So 9 transfers made here. Sanchez out, Edison in, Ake out, Gusto in, Chilwell out, Udogie in, Diaz out, Sterling in, Saliba out, Cash in, Akanji out, Anderson in, Matoma out, Maddison in, Saka out, Ward-Prowse in, Rodrigo out, Bowen in. All good players, all players who've all been in the transfer market. 9 transfers, -32. It's like doing one of the biggest hits I've ever seen. Game Week 5 was a little bit more tempered, actually. Only a -20 this time. 41 points, pulled all the way down to 21 because we saw Visser out, Darwin in. Then Darwin out, Alvarez in. Sterling out, Son in. Jackson out, Haaland in. And Nketiah out, Darwin in again. Darwin out again. Ferguson in again. That was Game Week 5. Game Week 6. We had a -8, much more tempered again. Haaland out, Edouard in, Cash out, Robertson in, Bowen out, Salah in. 45 points, not bad. Game Week 7, we saw another -20. Salah out, Neto in, Gusto out, Trippier in, Anderson out, Botman in, Edouard out, Morris in, and Burmo out, Salah back in. Salah out again, Bowen back in. 67 points, minus 20, all the way down to, of course, a 47. Captaincy this time, though, Carlton Morris, 20 points in a double game week, so well done, Pavel. And then game week 8, of course, as we saw earlier on, that's the team as it stands right now. Just 3 transfers made to make it look like this for game week 8. Botman out, Cash in, Ferguson out, Watkins in, and Estupinan and Burn in. So that is the journey of Pavel's season. That's how he managed to get to 105.3 million for his team value. However, what does it mean for his overall rank? Well, look away now, Pavel. Unfortunately, hasn't done particularly well in terms of getting a good rank this season, as you might expect with all those big hits. He's currently ranked 8.9 million in the world. There's only 10.1 million people playing, so he's not that far off the bottom. And so after game week 1, he was ranked 5.1 million. Then he shot all the way up to 1.6 million after that wildcard in game week 2. That was his best week of the season, but then dropped all the way down to 4.1 million in game week 3 with that massive minus 20. The minus 32 in game week 4 took him down to 7.5 million. The minus 20 in game week 5 took him down to 8.2 million. The minus 8 took him down to 8.7 in game week 6. There was a slight bump in game week 7 from 8.7 million to 8.6 million. With a minus 20, I mean, that actually is impressive on its own. And then the minus 8 in game week 8, of course, down to 8.9 million. So, unfortunately, not a lot that we can learn for our own teams in terms of some good strategy. But if you're wondering sometimes why the price changes are fluctuating so much, it's because there are quite often a lot of teams that are trying to get to the very top of that team value. And you have to say that Pavel especially has, of course, succeeded because he's got a team value of 105.3. You can see with those transfers, he's not afraid of taking someone out, putting them back in, taking them out again, and doing a bit of a hokey cokey with individual players, even in one game week, just to try and climb those price changes. So yeah, as I said, not as much we can learn as in a usual video, but it certainly hopefully is a bit of an eye-opening insight into the factors that sometimes impact those price changes. Now, before I leave you, just a quick reminder, of course, that if you haven't already signed up to Fantasy Football Scout membership for this season, then you can still do so at 30% off with those pre-season prices. Make sure you get that sorted soon before the prices go up again, ironically enough. That's what we've been talking about today, price rises with FPL teams. They can happen with the membership as well, so make sure you get yourself sorted ahead of Game Week 9. Lots of wildcards out there, and it will definitely help you if you're on one of those. Now, we've got all sorts of other content this week. As I said, we've had loads of content out last week as well, so if you've been sort of taking a break from FPL, go back and have a look at our October International Break playlist, where we've had a couple of episodes from our usual shows. We've had a look at the World Number 1's team. We've had a look at a couple of team selection videos from some of the best managers in the world, and of course, we will have that throughout the week now as we build into Game Week 9, so go and check those out as well. Well, with that, I shall leave you fine folks to enjoy the rest of your international break, and I shall see you next time.